Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are gonna go over skill add-ons for warriors. I'll be showing and sharing my own personal skill add-ons that I'm using at the moment, and I'll try and explain why it is I'm using those add-ons. So with that information, maybe you can make a build that's even better suited for your playstyle. Quick note, stick around until the end. I have a bit more information about the interactions between skill add-ons and abilities. And if you're gonna be going and making your own optimal builds, you definitely want to get that information. It's some really interesting stuff. But for now, I'm gonna leave you in the hands of White Shirt Sunny, and I'll see you again at the end of the video. Let's get to it. Now let's take a look at the skill add-ons. Now this is my Awakening PvE skill add-on build. I do change it up from time to time depending on where I'm grinding and to test out new things. And also if I'm doing new combos that I want to practice, then I might change my skill add-ons up. So this might not be the stuff for you, but I'll go over my thinking about my skill add-ons and maybe you'll find that useful too. So, I have one pre-awakened abilities with a skill add-on, and it's my ground roll. So when I'm pulling mobs, I get a minus 10 DP buff on them, and also get 10 monster AP. A lot of the times, those are debuffs I want to start out with anyway. So by having the debuff already up and the self buff available, the first ability I'm going to use is going to still benefit from the previous add-ons while I get a stronger version in. After that, we have my Gravedigger. Currently, I'm running 20 monster AP and HP recovery. The HP recovery is really useful, 10 HP per hit, and we have 8 hits, so that's like 80 HP recovery on a relatively short cooldown. If you don't have issues with HP recovery, you can change this to something else. But for in-game grinding, it's very useful having some sort of HP recovery to supplement the HP potions to keep you alive. After this, normally I go straight into Armor Break. And on Armor Break, in pretty much all my builds, in PvE and PvP, you'll see me having minus 15 DP and minus 4 evasion. It's already a debuff ability for PvE and PvP, so I'm just stacking even more debuffs on it. A quick note about skill add-ons versus ability add-ons. They stack. So for example here, Gravedigger gives a debuff that is minus 30 DP. That will stack with a skill add-on of minus 15 DP. Same if I have an ability that would give me monster damage, it would stack with a skill add-on. However, two skill add-ons don't stack with each other. A lot of the times I'm going to be going into my Solar Flare in my normal in-game PvE combo. Check out the video for my PvE combos if you want to see. And here you want to get attack speed. You could also put attack speed already on the Gravedigger instead of the HP recovery. I will probably go back to doing that myself at some point, but currently I'm very happy with the HP recovery. Attack speed is the most important skill add-on to have up in warrior builds. PvE, PvP, it is a game changer. Warrior skills exceptionally well with attack speed. So Solar Flare is one of the abilities I used very early on in my combo after getting all the debuffs up. Now I'm ready to unload my damage, so I start out with the Solar Flare. It's going to give me the 20% crit rate and the attack speed. From here in my combos, I normally go into some more damage abilities, my Heaven's Cleave slashing, and while I have this 20% crit rate buff up, I try to get off my Angle Break and my Pulverize. Those are the two Awakening Warrior abilities that is not at 100% crit rate, so they will benefit from that 20% buff. Again, my Pulverize, attack speed, and HP recovery. Really good, really useful. You can definitely change this around to something else to supplement your combo. The last ability I have is Reckless Blow. Reckless Blow is the only ability for Warrior Awakening that has a T3 add-on. So there are Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3 add-ons, and as you can see, the different tiers give you more stats on the different add-ons. So Ground Roar is a T1 ability, 10 monster damage. Gravedigger is a T2 ability, 20. And Reckless Blow has 30 monster damage. So on my Reckless Blow, I add in crit damage, and I add in a bonus monster AP buff. And I use this as one of the first ability where I really unload all my damage. So those are my PvE add-ons, and hopefully you can find some inspiration from those. These are my PvP Awakening skill add-ons. And again, a lot of this is based around my combos that I use for PvP. Some of the stuff here, which is extremely good and important, and you probably want to have no matter what, is your movement speed debuffs and also your attack speed buffs. When you're making your PvP and to some extent your PvE, there are some stuff that is very important to have up. For PvE and PvP, attack speed, self buff is pretty much something you want up at all time. And then stacking slows is very powerful. So some of those abilities I will never change is my attack speed and movement speed slows on Gravedigger. Gravedigger has a minus 30% debuff on movement speed, attack speed, and cast speed. And that will stack with the skill add-on. So if somebody gets hit by my Gravedigger, they get minus 37% speed at everything, movement and attacking. Absolutely glorious, and I think is a must-have. The second one is my armor break. Again, if I'm hitting somebody with armor break, it's because I want to do more damage. But importantly for PvP, it allows others to do more damage as well. So I could put plus 4% accuracy on it, but that only helps me deal more damage to the target. Where debuffs, it allows my friends to deal more damage to that target as well. So in PvP, I would say debuffs are more valuable than self buffs, because a debuff on a target get amplified by other people as well. Attack speed on a lot of stuff. You see here I have attack speed buffs on Solar Flare, on Pulverize, and also on my Heaven's Cleave. So I try to put attack speed on a lot of abilities in PvP to make sure that pretty much no matter what, I have it up at all time. I've started to really like having the dot up in the current meta, but it's one of those I might change. Another ability where I have the minus attack speed and movement speed is my Ground Slash. When you're trying to debuff your opponent, you want to be protected while doing it, and you want to debuff as many people as possible. Ground Smash is another ability that has a built-in debuff. It doesn't show on this version, but the absolute version has a minus 40% movement speed debuff that will stack with this one. So that's minus 47% movement speed. And if you're already slowing that movement speed, might as well throw in an attack speed slow as well. These are my PvP skill add-ons, and hopefully you can find some inspiration from these as well. So these are my current Succession skill add-ons. And I do want to point out that I don't normally play Succession. So I picked up Succession recently, and I plan on testing it out in Ash Force Grinding, which is extremely in-game. And I made a build towards that. And you might want to use something similar to this even at earlier game grinding, but I can go over my thinking about some of the abilities that I definitely want and think you should be getting. So again, Ground Roar is a great pulling ability. So if you want to get, unfortunately it's only T1 add-on, right? But if you want to get just the initial buff or debuff out, Ground Roar is a great ability to do it on. So I start out with a DP and Evasion Shred, and normally I do a Spinning Slash right after. Spinning Slash is one of those abilities I try to use on cooldown because of the critical rate buff it gives me. So I take my monster damage and my attack speed of Spinning Slash to keep those up pretty much permanently. After Spinning Slash, I do another DP shred, which is the ground slash ability. It gives minus 20 DP. So now we have high damage and we got the shred. And afterwards, I try to do Heavy Strike. And I have all my DP T2 shreds on Heavy Strike. It's another ability that I can spam, and I use it all the time throughout in my combos. So with those abilities, I get all the essentials. I get my attack speed, I get my monster damage, I get my DP and evasion shred. And that is the main thing to go for. Now, another ability that I use all the time is then Pulverize. So what else is there to get? Well, we got the accuracy, which is basically just the inverse of the minus evasion. It pretty much works the same way, but it's a buff, so they stack. So I want to get that up as well. And then I have the 20% crit rate. When I'm using Spinning Slash, I do get plus 100% crit rate buff for 2 seconds. So I try to utilize my not 100% crit rate abilities while I have that buff up. But just in case, Pulverize itself is an ability that doesn't have 100% crit rate. So putting on the 20% crit, it should mean that all the hits outside of the very first one gets the benefit of the buff. So when my Pulverize has the 20% crit rate, the first hit doesn't get it, but it procs it. So the next 5 hits plus the last hit damage of 3x should benefit from the 20% crit rate. And that's why I have it on that one. The other stuff is filler, where I feel like it could be pretty useful. So my shield charge is an ability I use quite often. So I put on more attack speed just in case and another accuracy buff. So I can proc that if I ever need to. And then I have all my self DP buffs on my ground smash because it's a longer cast ability that is super armor. So I still take a lot of damage in it. And if you're fighting and grinding in more of the in-game grind spots, you do really want to have that DP buff active. So that's why I have it on an ability where I'm probably going to be taking damage while I'm using it. Now, these are not what I would be using for PvP. If you're trying to make a more balanced build, you still want to have your slows and your debuffs into this build as well. So I would definitely swap around my ground smash, getting minus movement speed and minus attack speed on that one, and maybe finding one more place to fit those in. But hopefully you found this useful. So we meet again. A little note about skill add-ons and the abilities. I mentioned this briefly in the video, but on review here, I decided I wanted to expand a bit on it and explain it better. So there's been done quite some testing in regards to skill add-ons being activated on the ability to use them. The way it works is when you're using buffs like AP, and you use the skill add-on on an ability that, say, has 10 hits. On the first hit, the skill add-on with AP is not applied. That's the hit that procs it. And then the following next 9 hits on the same ability will benefit. However, if you're using skill add-ons like attack speeds, it seems to be that it doesn't speed up part of the animation. So if you want an animation to or an ability to benefit from attack speed, you have to have the attack speed running when you use the ability. So in other words, if you use an ability with an attack speed skill add-on, the following abilities will benefit, not the ability that procs it. However, damage buffs like monster damage and crit rate, they do seem to benefit themselves for the skill add-on. And with that information, hopefully you can find out some really cool tunings with your combos, making sure you proc your attack speeds before you actually need them, and maybe you can move some of your damage abilities around. I hope all of this was very helpful. I know there's been a lot of requests for skill add-on guides, so here it is. Hopefully it's going to be just what you guys were looking for. And if you have any questions, as always, feel free to drop a line in the comments. I do my very best to answer them all. And if you want to come ask me in person, join the stream. I stream several times a week. I normally post my weekly schedule on my Discord channel, and you can find that in my Twitch as well at twitch.tv/biceptumsprime. I hope to see you around. See you in the next one.